These truly are the hands, the hearts, the feet, the minds that have been innovators and creators for all that we come to see when you walk through the door of their businesses and you see these smiles and these hearts, and I could cry right now. And I'm going to give them an opportunity to I'm going to ask if you could give one word that empowers who you are as a woman, who you are as a woman of color, a black woman, and just share that with the space. We'll start on this side.
My word would be connected.
Beautiful word.
Divine.
Resilient.
Incredible.
Courageous.
Independent.
Magical. And on that word, we shall be seated together. Wait, Binta, it didn't get to say hers. You're a guest as well. She's shy. You don't have to be afraid. Power. On that note, we'll be seated. So there's one guest that couldn't be with us today because she has transitioned in the physical realm, but certainly is with us in the spiritual realm. And I want to take a moment just to send out positive vibrations and healing to the family of Taz Morris. She owned her own women's security company, kept a whole lot of people safe in New Mexico for a very long time. She was an artist. I am wearing her gloves this afternoon. I've got a little sparkle, which is abnormal for me, but I wanted to honor her precious memory. And we had her homegoing celebration just day before yesterday. It was beautiful, a lot of light, a lot of healing, a lot of tears, and ultimately she isn't with us physically, but is here with us in spirit. I believe we all carry on a bit of who Shantez absolutely was. Taz was a dear, sweet soul. So we're just going to take just a 10-second pause to honor the family. And on that note, I would like to start with an introduction of each of our business owners. And in that introduction, if you could just tell us what really inspired you to create what your vision is.
Thank you, Neema. I was actually guided to open Attachment Healing Center. I was working in residential treatment, and I saw that we could discharge kids home, but within a few months they'd end up back, and I called it the revolving door of treatment. So I knew something more was needed, and I meditate on a regular basis. My spiritual journey is really important to me, and I was guided. I never would have done this, and so I don't know if you all have seen the movie Rent, but 25,600 minutes I woke up with playing in my head one morning, and it wouldn't go away for like 6 hours. Like, what am I supposed to do, right? And throughout the day, 3 people came up to me and said, you need to start your own business. And that's how I got started.
So my name is Ndidia Makot Barike. I am the president and the owner of Olive Tree Compounding Pharmacy in Rio Rancho. I am the first black woman in the state and in the history of New Mexico to own my own pharmacy.
Whoop, whoop.
And really owning a pharmacy, first, even becoming a pharmacist, I was asked before we even started, how did you get into pharmacy? Well, really, my father wanted me to become a medical doctor. And I worked in Nigeria for a short amount of time, and I witnessed a woman give birth. And I said, I'm not doing that. So I did not go to medical school. Then an uncle came and visited New Mexico and basically bribed me with a lot of money and said, if you go to pharmacy school, I'll pay you a lot of money. So I went to pharmacy school.
That's a bonus.
But to open my own practice, really, it just came out of working in the industry for about 12 years and just not being satisfied and wanting something more for myself. I am very innovative and creative, and so what I do is design custom medication for men, women, children, and animals.
Thank you.
My name's Krishna Peoples. I am the owner, or part owner, of Marathon Janitorial. We do commercial cleaning, offices, warehouses, not too much houses unless it's like post-construction cleanup or what have you. I am part owner also with my husband as well. What brought me to what we're doing, I just got tired of working for other people. Listening to people tell me what to do, what I shouldn't do. The last job I had before we started the business, I got let go because I needed a hysterectomy. They were pressuring me, well, when are you supposed to have it? And I didn't have a date. So they let me go. My husband said, well, we're going to start a business out of this trunk of the car.
That's the best business.
We started off with the company, and they were like the umbrella for us. They shut the doors on us and many other franchisees. And we were like, well, what are we going to do? I said, keep going. So I came up with contracts. I mean, I've never ran a business before, so I really had no idea. I'm still learning every day, and every day is still a challenge. But I like making a difference. You know, every day we have like 4 or 5 buildings we clean like every day of the week, and we go in there and it's dirty. It looks like we never touched it, but I like my husband says, like, we're a ghost, right? You leave your facility dirty, you come back and it's clean. But also it's health, you know, with COVID going on. We started right at the cusp of COVID. Like, this is when nobody knew, excuse me, what COVID was. So we were very blessed to stay in business. And so that's where we are.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I've worked in corporate America. My name is Brenda Hollingsworth Marley for over 33 years as a librarian and as an educator. And so I have become extremely familiar with that process of working under an administration. So I still dabble in corporate America. However, under the umbrella of Ms. Marley's House of Colors, I have taken the various skills that I have and put them under that umbrella so that I have branches beneath and a root as a deep tree. The passion has come from loving culture, loving history, her story, our story, and being able to tell our story. The passion has come through knowing that there are so many people, from preschoolers through people in college, through elders, who need to hear our stories. So what is under my umbrella? I am a professional storyteller, carrying on the tradition of the griot, the person who shares the stories, whether they be true or whether they be false, whether they be a tall tale or a short tale. I tell our stories. And so that is under the umbrella, along with the other skills such as being a vocalist. So I've sung jazz for a very good long while and other styles of music. I drum and dance and do all kinds of creative things. So I'm all about creativity and culture and spreading that far and wide and celebrating particularly the African and the African American culture and experience, knowing that there are others, and I welcome and celebrate diversity. However, when I go into a school with 300 people and people see me, they just automatically connect, and we go on a journey together when I'm out telling stories or sharing my puppets or whatever. So those are some of the aspects that are under the umbrella of Ms. Marley's House of Colors, along with tutoring students and thinking about opening my own cultural center and school. So that's in my head. We'll see what happens. Corporate back or my own school.
Thank you.
Hello, and I'm Cecilia Webb. I've been in Albuquerque for about 25 years. And my word today to describe how it feels to be a Black woman is independence, because I love helping people. I not only DJ the Train to Glory, which is a gospel music program every Sunday morning, 6 to 9 a.m. on an NPR station called KUNM. I do own Web Insurance Agency, in which I have been a licensed agent now for about 24 years. I help people with life insurance, with Medicare, dental, vision, and long-term disability. And I can help with any of those areas. So many of our people need to be more educated in that arena and take care of business. And when I went to the training the first time to listen to what would be involved in being a life insurance person, I guess I should say, because I thought I didn't want to be that. But I listened to the people there, and some of them were so, I don't talk to people if they can't pay a certain amount a month. I don't use my time on those people because you don't make any money. And at that point, I decided I must have the purpose to help our people and to help people who are not as privileged as others economically. And that's how I got into the business. I still have a lot of clients, and I'm always happy to help in that area. And again, there's so much that we need to know, and we need to do it younger as opposed to older, but I can help all the way from 0 to age 85.
There we go. Thank you.
My name is Christina Davis. I am the co-owner of Trends Beauty Supply. Me and my husband own Trends Beauty Supply. I am a natural born hustler. I've done it all. I've owned a cleaning company, I've owned bars, I've owned restaurants, I've owned trucking companies, clothing companies, everything. What got us into the journey of the beauty supply store was I had a cleaning business. We had a big contract, made a lot of money, and I'm from Albuquerque, so I'm born and raised Albuquerque. So there's one in particular store that you go into and you knew you might get cussed out, you might not get cussed out that day. And we happened to go in there, and my husband had the worst experience ever. And he was like, "I'm opening a beauty supply store." I'm like, "Whatever, we don't even know nothing about this, like whatever." And he was like, "No, I'm opening a beauty supply store." So I'm like, "But this is what we do. We open things. We do real estate. We do everything." So I'm like, "Okay." So we got this big contract, made a lot of money, and he opened the business. And I was so mad at him. I'm like, "Dude, you took all of our money and invested it into this, and we didn't know anything." My husband, he's from Indiana, so the product mix that they have in Indiana and what's on the West Coast is completely different. So we opened up kind of blind, didn't have any mentoring, nothing, but I don't know, when God calls you, you just have to go, and it's worked for us. We've been in business for 12 years. We've been consistent in it. We do wholesale now. We do mentoring. We do consulting. I have an 8,000 square foot store. I have a 7,000 square foot warehouse, and I have 15 employees. But our why behind this is because of generational wealth. See, when I grew up, no one gave me a car. My first car I had to buy. No one gave me money for a house. I had to get that on my own. I want to be able to leave my kids something that they're always, if they mess it up, that's what you did. But I left you something to be able to sustain your lifestyle and not have to struggle like I've had to struggle to get to where I'm at. So my why is for generational wealth.
Thank you so much. My name is Neema Kamaria Hanifa Pickett. It means born during prosperous times like the moon, a true believer. That's in the Swahili and Arabic language. And, my why so many years ago in opening my business was very similar to what you were saying, Christina. I came from Southern California and, grew up in a very diverse community where diversity was very much celebrated. And when we moved here, we moved south to Belen, which was a huge shock. In a lot of ways, it was like these dusty roads, and, I grew up on a working ranch, actually, and come from a family line that embraces that, and riding horses, and smelling sage, and bundling for the market, and all these beautiful things, right? And so when we moved to Belen, and it was like, ew, we don't like you because you have different skin. I'm like, but I'm the same color and everything as you. We have the same blood and all of that. But they weren't trying to hear that. And so that was my first recognition of like, wow, racism really exists beyond the border of a book, or when you'd watch the programs during Black History Month and everybody made you watch Roots, and if you haven't watched Roots, you better watch Roots. And it was like, wow, this is very real, and there was a collision there for me. And having to experience for the first time feeling like unpretty and small, and like that I was not smart or pushed to the back was really difficult for me. And I knew in my heart space at that time as a teenager that really when I had the opportunity to create spaces that people could be celebrated in, particularly those with curly and kinky and wavy and, you know, extra special kinds of hair and Nubian skin and all these hues, I said, I'm going to open a wellness retreat one day. And so when I was 19, you know, I began on that journey, and we opened a vegetarian restaurant. Taught a lot, and I say we because this is my sidekick, my mama, Miss Brenda. And, you know, that was 24 years ago. And then it was a lot of education because people didn't understand, like, what your fuel looked like as something other than meat. Not that I'm saying something about meat, but, you know, that you could heal all of this disease in your body and shift your life energetically and in dynamic ways by having those options. And, you know, going into natural hair care was that there was a niche market and there was definitely a need. You know, there weren't a lot of options for getting your hair braided naturally or twisted or dreadlocks or locks and things like that. So I said, you know, we need to create space where that's welcomed and not that you have to straighten your hair out to be accepted when you go into the workplace, when you go, you know, to school in the educational system. And just kind of fast forwarding past opening those spaces in the downtown area and Old Town and then up in Nob Hill, you know, I really started to think about ownership and how important that investment of our finances, because these are all people coming in under my care, you know, to do work, and us as a team, you know, and how would that look to actually own, women who own it, my own space, and for people to be able to utilize that in new and innovative ways with using outdoor environments for healing and massage and treatment, and indoor spaces that welcomed our little ones, and what it would be to hear a story again, and all these traditions that we needed to bring back into space and say we can be productive financially together. And so that service has been great, which certainly led me to what I do with WESST, which is training and consulting, and, you know, being able to empower business owners with the tools that they need to be successful as well. So we all have our why. We have the, what I would say, the smallest little person in the room who looks to be taking a nap. And as we open up to talk about and get into our dialogue, I would like to ask Ms. Binta, who represents our young generation, what it means. Oh, you're waking up, great, okay. But I would really like to know what it means for you when you go, like with your mom or your dad, and you go into a business and you see people that look like you. Do you have thoughts about that? And are there things that you think about that you'd like to do when you're big?
Yes, you see, when I play, I like to see brown dolls and brown puppets too, because my dear friend Miss Brenda, she mainly had to buy dolls that did not look like her and play with them. And I even watched something where little chocolate girls and boys would choose a color that wasn't their own because they were ashamed of being brown. Then when I ride in the car with Miss Brenda, Miss Marley, and she talks to me and all my friends down here and all my friends at her house, then I see blonde ladies on all the big pictures up high, and the blonde ladies have blue eyes and everything, and very few people that look like me. So when I see people that look like me, brown and beautiful, even if their legs don't work so good like mine, I get very,
like your tutu very much.
Thank you. It's pink.
It is indeed pink. Well, thank you for answering that question for me. So here's a question about visibility and where you all feel most seen and present in your businesses or in your personal life, and where you feel like you need to be more seen and more visible. And anybody could take that question.
Well, I guess I'll go first.
Okay.
All right, so I guess I feel seen when I'm helping people because I feel I have so much to offer. And again, I help in many different areas, and just as my friend here, Miss Brenda Hollingsworth Pickett, Marley, said, I also play, I'm a musician, so I play the organ, I help the church service, I sing every now and then. But I find that I'm the happiest when I am helping people. So if I'm in front of you, I'm, giving you some knowledge that you may not have been as much familiar with, that's when I feel seen and feel most helpful.
And I'll take the next one and just say that when I, for example, as a performing artist, whether I'm singing jazz, whether I'm singing in a church, whether I'm storytelling at a school or in the Grand Canyon or at a particular venue, and I see people, often it's children, however, there are teachers, principals, and children from every background, gifted, challenged, children in special ed, and for me to be able to go and tell a story, whether it's on a theme like Women's History Month or Black History Month, whether it's a theme that has to do with special needs, I can address those subjects and topics and use my body, my presence, my being to empower and educate and entertain at the same time these audiences. Now, recognize that I have traveled over 30 years working through the New Mexico Humanities Council, doing Chautauqua presentations as women who are powerful, present, magical, have walked through back kitchen doors to present who they are as a being, and couldn't even stay in the hotels and the bars and the clubs that they were performing at. So who are those women? I have, through Chautauqua style presentation, which is that I become that person, I share their story as an educational presentation and entertainment, and afterwards the audience, like you, get to ask questions of me as that person, and then the next person comes out, which is me, Brenda Marley, and they get to ask questions of me. So I have many multiple personalities, and it's a good way to place those personalities because people don't think you're so crazy, right? And so I present people like Lena Horne, the late Lena Horne, Rosa Parks and Coretta Scott King in Footsteps to Freedom, walking through the civil rights movement, Billie Holiday, Maya Angelou. But also, as a storyteller, I see those children, and they often get to Q&A me after a presentation, and they ask the most intense questions. Who was Rosa Parks? They feel like this person has come to life in front of them. Why did they march? What was the march from Selma? They ask all these wonderful questions, and I get to answer them in a way that sometimes their teachers kind of skip over, or the teachers may not even be comfortable to share some of these stories. So I am the person that can go in and share them. And when they talk about not sharing the critical race theory, all of you've heard about that?
Yes.
And don't talk about black folk, don't talk about where we've been, what we've done, all of that. I bust all that out. I bust it out.
All right.
And I feel so good about it. You see what I'm saying? I will talk about Black Wall Street. I will talk about the things that people were uncomfortable to talk about in a story, in a song, in a dance, through the drum. So when I'm seen, they don't forget Miss Marley. They don't. And they know me as the story songbird woman at many of these venues. But in New Mexico, I have broken down 4 cars traveling from Jowl to Hobbs to Cruces to Clayton to Artesia to Eagle Nest, all over the state, performing 400,000 plus miles, primarily driving by myself on these 2-lane highways at night with Mr. Skunk crossing to wake me up. Okay?
I would say you have to be really fearless to do that.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about addressing fearlessness with this beautiful lady to my right, Ms. Krishner. You know, you mentioned how your business had to really continue and push through during a time that none of us understood what was going on. Everybody went home. It's like, lock up the shop. I can't do. But people who had the heart for the work that you do. And, you know, I think that a lot of times it is so discounted that this chair I'm sitting in is cleaned. You know, that floor we all walked in on, you know, is set and ready to go for us to be on a stage. You know, that our desks that we sit on, all of these things where we need a clean environment to breathe and to live and to function. Like, people were able to say, I'll retreat from, you know, I'm not out there on the front line, but you really did that.
Yes.
And so if you could talk a little bit about, you know, how that felt to have to pave through during the pandemic and, you know, keep on going, and where you found that motivation to do that when so many people didn't have to be on the front line of caring for others in that way.
It was a little difficult because, like I said earlier, no one knew what COVID was. I even got it and no one knew what it was. I lost my mother-in-law to COVID. And then, like I said, when the company that we were under shut down, we were kind of like, well, what are we going to do? The one contract that we did have called and said, we want to keep you all. You guys do a good job and, you know, keep us safe. Like, literally, like, they've been broken into, we've been there, missed it, called the police, whatever. And you just kind of have to go in there. I mean, whatever. There's sicknesses everywhere. I mean, even before COVID, someone had a cold, someone had the flu, whatever. You know, and you go in there and you have to clean. Christina, I'm sure you know.
I know.
You know, even like last night, I was emptying the trash and I was like, oh my God, they spit in there. It's kind of gross. But I mean, you have to go in there with the mindset of, I'm keeping people safe. Like you said, everybody takes, you know, you take advantage of, geez, my chair got cleaned last night. Gee, I left my desk a mess and there was fingerprints everywhere, food, and I came back and it's clean, like the dust bunny came through, you know, and did it. I mean, every day is a challenge. Every night is a challenge. We still have COVID. You know, people we're lax now because, oh, we don't get to wear masks. You know, we don't have to. We still have COVID. You know, it's still there. So, I mean, I just have the mindset of, you know, kind of like a doctor. I'm keeping you healthy. I'm keeping you safe. And let's just do it. I mean, I'm not scared because I have a higher power. You know, God keeps me safe. I wake up and pray every morning, and so that's what keeps us going. Keeps me going.
Now, Dr. Coleman, I think this is a perfect time to chime in, being that you're in the capacity of mental health and our well-being in that regard. And, you know, sometimes people have this false sense of security, whether that's from something that they think is going to contaminate them or a disease, but also when people go out on the streets and, you know, have to deal with, you know, we had a business owner who was murdered downtown, and that was just a few weeks back, trying to break up a fight, and all of this ripple effect, you know, of how that impacts our heart space, our families, and, you know, that's not something that I think in Black culture we talk about a lot, is what we go through mentally. And so, yeah, I just want to give you the floor to be able to speak to us a little bit about the things that you found in your practice to be helpful and supportive and for all of us.
All right, I can speak to that. I'll go back to the first question you asked, though, which was about being seen, which is pretty interesting because my core wounding had been, it's not safe to be seen. That was what my childhood taught me. And I just healed that last year. So connecting that to what you just asked is the most important thing we can do is our own personal healing work. We have to be able to admit when things bother us, when things are coming up, and the body sends the message first. Like before you yell or you shut down or you do that thing, it happens in your body first. And if we can pay attention to that, not judge it, not do the Eurocentric thing, and I'm just going to talk about it, not feel it. No, we're whole body people. When we can do that, there's healing. There's a message the body is bringing. Usually it's about safety. You know, Kristen, I just heard you say you had personal loss during COVID. Our children, especially our elementary school children, suffered tremendously during COVID. They lost their peers. They lost that interaction, that connection piece, absolutely. And we had to come in and support the families. What can we do instead? How do we help them? How do we sustain them? How do we give connection in a safe way that doesn't put others in the home at risk? So during that time, yes, we saw people in the park. We saw them in their backyards. We got creative. We did do telehealth. I'm not a fan of telehealth, meaning online. For me personally, it's draining. I'm in an international community, and I remember talking about how I get drained at the end of a session. By the third session, I'm falling asleep. And someone from Mexico said, well, you know how you pull your energy back? I was like, wait, what? Because when we're face to face with one another, we extend ourselves, but then you extend yourself back. And so there's this energetic exchange that goes on of information. Energy is information, but it also is revitalizing. We didn't get that in the middle of COVID, so it was hard. It was really hard, and we don't talk about those things, so thank you for asking me. They need to be addressed, yes.
Absolutely. So from a pharmaceutical perspective and what you've seen to support people, you know, and you said even pets and animals, you know, I mean, because it's nature and what you use as those elements in your compounding and your formulation. How do you bridge that which is ancient from a cultural perspective to bringing that into medicine? And a lot of people are very fearful about like what we put in our body and like, no, I don't know what you put in there. I'm not going to the doctor. And we see that a lot with people of African descent. So how do you, one, kind of address that? And, you know, and the second part of that question I would say would be help people to understand that you are there as a tool of education as well. That's a piece that people miss a lot, that you in that field as a doctor can give a lot of educational, you know, teaching and so forth. So.
Yeah, I would also like to go back to the visibility piece.
I know, I keep forgetting
that,
about being seen. Please be seen, yes.
Yeah, I think that was actually a really good question. And, you know, the way that I see visibility and the challenges that we as a society have with visibility is not necessarily our issue as Black women. Because I see you, I see all of you, but do they see us? And maybe they don't see us because their box that they put us in is too small. Their definition of us is not very broad. So I'm seen. I'll go anywhere. I'll go to any meeting. I don't care who's there. I'll introduce myself.
Yes.
My name is Ndidiama Kotbareke. There's no short form of that, you know? So I make sure that I go into any space because I belong in any space.
Yes.
So I really think as a society, when the society starts to address how they define our hair, how they define our skin color, and they make it okay for us to have a particular kind of hair or a particular skin color, then they will truly have an open space, right? So some of these things that society puts on us, I really feel like they're not really our challenges. And sometimes we take them on. In Nigeria we say, you dey carry matter for your head. Meaning you put someone else's rubbish on yourself and carry it along your journey. Why?
True.
If you don't like the way I look, that's your problem, not mine.
Yes.
Right?
Amen.
So,
I got
they carry matzah. They carry matzah. So now when it comes to pharmacy, you know, I really feel like what I do, I really feel like it's a really big responsibility in my community, because not very many pharmacists look like me. Mm-hmm. And again, that's not my problem, but the definition of who and what a pharmacist is, right? Society doesn't, that definition, I don't fit that definition. Mm-hmm. I've had clients, when I was in corporate America, I've had clients, you know, come to the consultation window and say, I need to speak with the pharmacist. How can I help you? And they're like, no, that pharmacist. I'm like, oh, that's an intern. I'm the pharmacist. How can I help you? You know? And so, yeah, there have been challenges. I've also had clients come into my business and try to define how business is supposed to be conducted. But this is my place. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to tell you how this transaction will work. You know, and I do this because all of this reshapes the experience that we have from this moment forward. All of everything that I do, I'm very conscious of how can I change that perspective, because that perspective is not correct. Mm-hmm. I've fired clients. Ma'am, you can no longer come here. What do you mean? Exactly what I said. Because this patient-provider relationship, we're not compatible. It's not working. You know, so I think when it comes to visibility and how we practice, I really feel like we have so much opportunity to really, you know, go in. Don't step away and say, oh, well, that's not for us. Oh, yes, it is. When's the next meeting? 8 o'clock, I'll be there.
And show up.
Yes.
So I have a question for you, Ms. Christina.
Yes, ma'am.
And, you know, one of the things about being seen is that you have trends, and you specifically were saying how you identified that you needed to compete in a way in the market because people were not being treated well when they needed to go get their hair supplies and things like that.
Yes.
Okay, so I would like to know, when you really have a customer who, you know, they don't know where to start, they don't know what their needs are, and you embrace them and celebrate them, what that kind of looks like for you in terms of the customer care perspective?
So first, I am a firm believer in you treat people how you want to be treated. Yeah. And the industry that I'm in is a Korean-dominated market. That's what it is. They manufacture it, they distribute it, and they have stores.
And when you say it, let's clarify.
So hair. So hair products, everything. And so to be in this realm of the beauty supply industry, it's amazing because I know what it's like to have a hot comb on my hair with blue magic and my ears burning because my grandma done burnt me. Like, I know what that feels like. I know what it feels like to have my, you know, my scalp greased, and like there's just certain things that I know. And even with opening the store, it's really about customer service, and that's why we decided to open up. Was these people are spending their hard-earned money with you.
Yes.
You know, they don't have to shop here.
That's true.
They don't. There's options. So you have to be completely grateful. Like I tell even my employees, I tell them, you don't work for me. You work for that customer. You don't work for me. I write the check. That's it. Because if I don't have no customers, we ain't got no money. You know. And it's so fulfilling because I've had people that come in there. I make custom wigs as well. And I've dealt with people that have alopecia, people that have cancer, and literally their hair just is falling out while you're just trying to put a wig on them. And as women, you know, our hair is everything. Whether you embrace a bald head or braids or dreads or whatever it is that you decide, that's your decision. That's what you want. You know, but we have to all learn how to embrace it. And, you know, it's just something, it's so fulfilling when you have, I've had people cry, hugging me. Like, oh my God, I feel like a beautiful woman again. And you know, I'm a crybaby, so I'm crying too. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. You know? I've made wigs for kids that are 5 years old, you know, that are getting bullied at school, you know. So the treating people how they want to be treated, and really giving that great customer service. That's what I excel at in my business, is customer service. People get so mad. They walk into our store and it's 10 people that told them hi. I don't care. I told them, no, everybody better say hi. You better get tired of saying hi to people. You know, because you don't get that. You go to Walmart, you go to Target, you go to all these other places, and no one even talks to you. No one speaks to you. You know, like, and then our dollar only circulates not even one time in our community. So I appreciate that you decided to stop at my store and spend your hard-earned money with me. I love you. Give me a hug. Like I love you, because you don't have to.
Yes.
You know, so I appreciate it, and I do it for my community. I'm from here. You know, I'm like I said, I'm born and raised right up the street. You know, so I want to give that amazing customer service and give back to my community and do my part in what I need to do. But really, the customer service and just being able to, you know, I have people that come in there and they have, you know, they let these Caucasian women adopt these black kids, and they don't know nothing about hair, and they're trying to put a relaxer on a 5-year-old, and I'm like, no. You about to get this grease, this comb, and some bows. You about to brush your hair. You know, and it's just the education, because people don't give that education out here. Because it's not, you know, you go to Walmart, they don't care. They're just going to buy a relaxer, they're just going to ring it up, and they're going to walk them out the door. You know, me, I'm like, what are you doing? What you doing? Like, oh, I'm getting a relaxer for her. I said, no, you're not. You're not doing that to a baby. You about to get the spray bottle. Let me give you education real quick. And even my employees, they're all educated that way. We have trainings every week. They all know. People come in there, they're like, I've had people come in there like, oh, when did you start hiring white people? I'm like, really, why does it matter who I hire? Like, they're going to give you the same customer service that I'm going to give you. They're trained for a reason. I'm not just going to hire anybody off the street, you know. So it's a bigger thing, because, like I said, in this industry, you don't get that. You know, it's not intentional. It's sacred to us. Like, this is our hair. You could burn. People get cancer from relaxers. Like, people don't even, you know, like, it's a real education. And yes, do I sell relaxers? Because as a business owner, you do have to sell stuff that, you know, is going to make you money, but I try to shy away from it, you know. But, I mean, I'm going to sell it because that's, you know, people come in there and they're going to want it anyway. And if you apply it the right way, it's safe, but, you know, people don't apply it the right way. But it's education, and it's just about appreciating people that come in and shop with you. You know, because it has to be that. We have to start appreciating people, because we do it for a reason. I tell people all the time, me and my husband could go to a corporate America and make 6-7 figures, you know, easily. It's hard running a business. Even like you said, when COVID hit, I had to shut down a shop. It was hard. You know, then you have people that rely on you.
Yes.
I have families that completely rely on me to be able to pay them. So it's not, I don't just do it for me. I have like 6 people that their family completely relies on the check that I give them. Right. So I have to make sure that we show up and show out, and I have to make sure I give the great customer service, and I have to make sure I do this for my community, because there's people that completely rely on me, and I refuse to let them down.
We're going to talk a little bit about obstacles, and we're all in New Mexico as New Mexico business owners, and what obstacles do you feel like were the biggest challenges? They may still be challenges, but in the beginning, and things that you're facing now.
My biggest obstacle? Getting people to support.
Okay.
You know, I get so many times, oh, well, in Dallas, I could go. I'm like, well, ma'am.
We're not in Dallas.
Ma'am.
They're in Albuquerque.
They're in Albuquerque. And like I tell them, the Korean prices is not my prices.
Right.
I don't get the same prices that they get. I don't. As much as I've tried, I go to other places, and I'm like, how are they selling this for this? This is what I get it for. How are they making money? You know, but and there's a thing, and then people not like literally, you know, people come into my store all the time like, oh, the Koreans came. I'm like, no, ma'am. Well, where's the owner at? I don't even like telling people I'm the owner anymore. I'm just like, you know, he in the back somewhere. I don't know. He ain't here. He ain't even here. You know, but just having people like really take you serious and understand like that you're really doing it for the community, and breaking the, you know, like I said, we're the Korean store isn't going to give give to sponsor a sports team, a high school team. They're not going to sponsor a cheerleading squad. They're not going to give money for a GoFundMe. Somebody passes away. They're not going to do that. I do all of that. You know, so the support of the community has been a blessing because they are the ones that support me. But the box that they put me in, because I have a big store and the prices aren't the same, like I tell them, like trust me, I wish I could go open up $1 million account. I want to. Trust me. But that's the challenge of just like, the COVID was a super big challenge because you had to shut down. You had to completely shut down. I had the police call on me 3 times because I wasn't shutting down. I was like, I didn't shut down. You know, the first time I let everybody go, it was me and one of my employees. I seen the state police pulled up. I'm like, dang, I know they here for me. He was like, now you know you ain't supposed to be open. I said, I know, but can we please stay open till 5 o'clock? Because I told people till 5. But you know, I got the police called on me 3 times. You know, so just trying to pivot and I don't care what nobody says. Oh, they deferred the rent. No, you still had to pay rent. Or you're gonna have a balloon payment at the end. You know, so just the COVID was a big thing. But you know, the amazing thing about COVID that I learned that people really stress is you really need to have 6 months put up. Like that is true. You really have to. And I wasn't prepared for that. You know, so when COVID hit, it was tax season. It was right before tax season. Tax season is my biggest season. And you get shut down. So I spent all this money on this inventory. And then you owe vendors. And still got to pay rent and everything else. And, you know, you get shut down. So when they tell you put 6 months up to the side, that is so true. Because you never know what's going to happen. So that was a blessing that I learned, was to be able to learn how to really save money. And put that up on a rainy day.
Savings. You heard that?
Yeah. No, you need to make sure you have money to the side.
Yeah, I think you know, every obstacle can be seen also as an opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, when I opened in February of 2017, I had just gone through a divorce. So I'm a single mother of 3 elementary school boys who always ate. And I had been open for maybe 3 months, and I was in a situation where I needed more working capital. And I sought the assistance of a lender here in town. And the president of this organization came to the pharmacy and told me that I should just file for bankruptcy. That this is not going to work. You know, it's cute.
You mean came to your, okay.
It's cute.
Yeah, it's cute, but it's not going to work. It's like you need to sell your car, you know. And that nearly crushed me because I had taken everything that I had to invest in starting this business. But look at me today. Back off of what you said, you know, ownership in our community is very important. So I've been leasing a space for 5 years. In February next year will be the 5th year. And right now, I'm working on building my own commercial building. So I secured about $2 million in funding. So every obstacle is an opportunity. Just like you in COVID, I mean, even though we're healthcare, I'm not shutting down. They can shut down, but
I'm not shutting down.
I'm not
I'm just
shutting
going to be
down.
out the back door. Meet me up the street.
So, you know, the back of my trunk,
For real.
You know, so, I mean, you just really have to find a way, and this life is not for the birds. You know, you have to have that grit and that tenacity to say no matter what, even in the face of opposition, I'm going to get to where I'm going. I'm going to make it, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would, finances, I guess, would be the biggest obstacle. And you're right, Dee Dee, we have to have the grit. The vision, the dream, the purpose, the reason you want to open has to be big enough to sustain you through the challenges that are going to help you grow.
Say it one more time. That was so good. One more time.
The vision, the dream, the reason you wanted to bring this to the community, to the world, has to be strong enough to sustain you through the challenges that are going to come. It has to be. I'm sorry, there are just so many that, especially when you're beginning, when you open up, thank you, Dee Dee, when you open up. I had people say I should declare bankruptcy. Wait, that stays on my, wait, what? How do I get to serve if, no. All right, so that option isn't available. Let's see what the other options are. And for me, when I started, mental health outpatient, serving children with attachment trauma and their families, I was told I had to be a Medicaid provider. Okay. So I did the Medicaid application. In the meantime, CYFD, Children, Youth, and Families Department is like, we need you here, can you do that? You know, so I'm seeing clients and, you know, okay, we're doing the application. And so 4 months down the road, I get approved as a Medicaid provider and I submit my first bill and find out it's a 2-step process in the state of New Mexico. I have to get a credential or approved by the insurance company. So another 4 months go by and I can't bill, but I got to still see these clients because if I drop them, then I lose my license for abandoning the client, right? So for me, it's from the beginning, the finances have been a challenge. Now, fortunately, when I went to CYFD, they said, look, we'll pay you, right? You're doing great work, our kids are getting better, they're stabilizing, so I had support. But lots of things happen. I'm busy training and serving families and bringing on new clinicians. Right now, the biggest challenge is hiring. I think the hospitals are paying bank, but I don't get bank, right? So I'm competing. It's a big issue, but so I'm focusing on delivering the service, and I have to hire others to keep my books, to do the accounting, to pay the bills. So the first person I hired told me in healthcare, you don't. Note, please, anyone who wants to open a business in healthcare, if you are a for-profit, you have to pay gross receipt taxes. Non-profit in healthcare, or if you're a dentist or a doctor, healthcare, physical healthcare, you don't have to pay gross receipt taxes. Why, if I'm in healthcare and I'm mental health, I do have to pay? So, 7 years went by. Finally, you know, the state is calling me like, you owe hundreds of thousands of dollars because, wait, the person I hired to handle this told me I didn't have, what? And they don't care. Finances and hiring people that you trust and being able to look at your books. Give me the monthly, let me look at it, let me see it in the bank, let me be able to double check. I've had people steal from me, you know, because of the finances. So it is not, if you are thinking of opening your business, listen to us. It is not for the faint of heart.
It is not. It is not. It is not. It is not. And I'd like to chime in here, just in terms of obstacles. For me, I mentioned my word as being courageous. And when I'm out there on these lonely highways and byways and driving to a facility or school or whatever to make a presentation, you never know when someone is going to not want to hear what you have to say. Okay? They often, we don't want truth. The truth. Why do I say that? I was doing a show at the Ocatilla Theater down in Artesia. Yeah. And I was presenting Billie Holiday. And I told the truth of who she was. She was a drug addict. She was bisexual. She cursed like a sailor. She loved to show up and show out. There was a man in the audience that didn't want to hear that. He didn't want to hear that she was bisexual. That was blasphemous. He didn't want to hear that Judy Garland got offered a program to work on her health with her drugs, and Anslinger was hired by the government to hunt Billie Holiday down to handcuff her at the end to her bed as she was dying and get her to get off of her drugs cold turkey. But when I did that show, it was a show where I presented exactly who Billie was. So he wrote to the paper and said, whoever hired her should be shot. So the Humanities Council said, I think that's a threat. Now, Billie had threats seeing people hanging from trees when she sang Strange Fruit. Lena had to walk through back doors. Why am I in 2015, 2016, 2017, and before the obstacle of the pandemic, who shut most public live entertainers down, shut down my teaching, all of that? Why am I still having to deal with things that they had to deal with 50 years ago, 100 years ago? So, courage. And also, I want to add, in terms of obstacles, that sometimes I can say human beings, when we forget our humanity and to treat others how we want to be treated. And then let me go more specific into being a woman of color, being a black woman in Albuquerque, in New Mexico, in the community. Oftentimes, if you are not in the right church, if you don't have the proper shepherd, if you are just spiritual, if you don't walk under the same faith, maybe you're Catholic, maybe you're Buddhist, maybe you're whatever, maybe you're not Baptist. But some of our people, especially women, can look at you like, who do you think you are? And I know you don't think you're coming in here to do anything. Because what club are you in? What organizations are you affiliated with? Who's your family? Are you socially connected? You came from where? I came from Salt Lake City, Utah. Woo? Black people from Utah? Oh, by way of California. Oh, you're not from here? Oh, really? Oh, you want to have a band? But what kind of vision do you have? Oh, no, if you can't pay me this, I'm not playing with you. So the obstacles can be very diverse for me and varied. And whenever I performed through the New Mexico Humanities Council for over 30 years, let me tell you all something. Courage, I spoke of that, right? When I step on that stage, when I step there to storytell, do puppeteer work, puppet therapy with kids, you can't know the beauty that comes out of therapy with kids and others with puppets. I have over 50. But I am evaluated with a form, and we're big on evaluation. We're big on American Idol. We're big on judging, right? So, do I get a 1 or a 5? I'm blessed to be able to say that for 30 years, 1 is low, 5 is high. Most of my evaluations were 4s and 5s for 30 years.
Wow.
I got a couple of 2s. One time I was driving, my mother was dying, and I drove from California 18 hours to Tucumcari, and I was 20 minutes late.
Oh, please.
And they gave me a 2. But what I'm saying is sometimes we can be obstacles.
Yes. Yeah.
We as human beings, because we don't care enough.
Yes.
Because we do not walk in another woman or man's moccasins to say, I respect your journey. I want to know about who you are, and I want to roll with you, not against you. I want to lift you up, not pull you down.
How can we do this together?
How can we work together? How can we network? I'm thinking I need to have you formulate me something for my stress.
We all go through those stresses. So on that note, I would like to hear from Ms. Webb. When you mentioned earlier, that lack of insurance and being able to say, when I have a business and I need to cover some things, or if I pass away, that people are able to continue on in that legacy building and do the work that they need to. How do you approach, the fact that we do come here and we live, and then we will go and transition at some point, for those who will say, well, I don't want to hear about that, or I don't need a plan, or I don't have to protect my business, or it won't happen to me. How do you handle those types of situations and sharing?
Because I do some informational seminars, and I invite people to those. Now, I haven't done one now since last year, but I have one coming up here in the spring, May. And I try to invite people, get the word out, do the announcement on it, because you'd be surprised at what you don't know. And it's true, we're all going to pass. It's, that's not something that is, it's inevitable. We're going to get there. But if you've not had an experience of losing a loved one or handling the business from losing a loved one, it's even more overwhelming. There is an advantage to having an agent, to have a person to help you, as opposed to just signing up through mail order and getting a life insurance policy. And if I can just share one quick thing for you, that is because when you have, which I am a broker actually, and a broker shops different companies. An agent usually represents one company. So I try to shop the best for you, for your pocketbook, for your needs, okay? But just recently, I lost a really dear friend that I've known for years, since college days. She actually called me just over 2 years ago to ask me to be the executor of her will. I didn't realize how much responsibility and work, but I can tell you that I'm going along, and it just so happens that she had a stroke here a couple of months ago, and she only lived 2 weeks past that, but she couldn't talk. And so I found out from going from a power of attorney, which is good when the person is living. When the person passes away, the power of the attorney passes away. That's one thing you need to know. Then it goes over to the executor, which is why you need a will. And if you don't have an executor, the next kin or person that's going to handle your business. So, you know, here I am writing checks, and a couple of them were returned. But I sent these checks out like 2 or 3 days right after she passed. Well, you know what I found out? Once the funeral home notifies Social Security, if you're getting Social Security, they notify the financial institution. This person is now deceased. Do not have any more operations on this account until the legal documents of the next step comes up, okay? So I went to the bank. That's one thing I didn't know, but I learned, you know, after 24 years. And they're like, yeah, well, we didn't close the account. It went in as the checks were returned frozen, blocked funds, is how they said. And she says, yeah, and as soon as you bring us your letters testamentary, the death certificate, blah, 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 you just bring that to us, and we'll just continue on, and we'll transfer the money into the estate account. And so, of course, it worked out for me okay, because here again, talking about saving 6 months, I had to use some of my money to cover these things for her until, you know, we got this straightened out and I could get a death certificate. But a lot of people don't know that. And so, you know, I lost my husband about 3 years ago, and his account was frozen, okay? But, you know, I had my own account, so that didn't affect me either. And it took 4 months before that account was open. So when somebody passes away and you're responsible for taking care of them, you better run to the bank real fast before the funeral home sends in the social, because you won't have access to those funds unless you have a whole separate.
So not only do we all have to think about personal, but business assets and all these different
That's
things.
true. And it's the same thing with owning a business, because you still have to have life insurance. You still need to carry on. I mean, there's key employee insurance that you can get where your business can keep running if something happens to the owner.
So I'm going to call you.
Thank you.
I'm going to call you.
So that is a beautiful connection and bridge.
Right.
And
So there's just a lot of things to know that are really important. And the older we get, I mean, you know, note tomorrow. Tomorrow is not promised to any of us. So you can be any age. So I would say get the knowledge, and then you can know how to react.
Right. So with that knowledge, just ancestral knowledge, we're a great wealth sitting here, and there were some powerful women, I'm sure, in your lives that gave you some gems and pearls, and I'd just like to take an opportunity to allow you to maybe share just one thing that maybe auntie or grandma or a mentor shared with you that we can gift to this audience.
So I was raised by a community of people. My great-aunt mom was the one on the front line to support me, but she had many challenges. So other family members or community members, I was in what I call informal foster care for a year. So for me, it's not one, For me, it's the community, and being loved on, and being seen and guided. And then as I became an adult, my hero is Harriet Tubman. And I affectionately call our model of treatment the Harriet Tubman model of treatment, because she worked to get herself free first, and then she went back
helped.
to help others. That's what she did. Right? And so for me, that's the lesson, that's the message. And no matter what comes, I'm not in this alone. And that's the other thing that she demonstrated with her life, is going to spirit. My meditative practice, my reading, my faith, practicing what I'm learning, that is what sustains me. That's my community, that's how I'm supported. And yeah, so it's a community that has supported me and guided me.
I would like to honor my grandmother. She was a woman of poise, grace, but she also carried a masculine energy about her. My grandmother, she's half Ghanaian and half Nigerian.
Oh.
And in Nigeria, she started her business by tying one of my aunties to her back, and the other she would carry. And then on a tray on her head, she had a puff puff, which is like a snack. And she would hawk in the streets, selling puff puff. But she went from that to building an empire. And she was known in Nigeria as Lady One Nigeria. So I give honor to her.
Nice. I get my strength from a village. I have 7 aunties and 3 uncles. So my mom was a single mother. So my village made me who I am. I have drops in knowledge from everyone. I draw strength still. I lost my mom in 2009, but I still have aunts and uncles and cousins and everybody who just still pours into me, and we just pour into each other. So I'm just grateful for that.
I draw my strength from the Most High, first and foremost.
Yes.
And through that, I learned from my mother, who died at 94, Bessie Hollingsworth, who came out of Vicksburg, Mississippi, who only went to the 3rd grade and struggled to learn as far as her education. But I'd see her struggling to read the Bible, and that's where she was struggling. But she'd go to night school, and I'd hang out at the school and play in the dirty, filthy gym and wait for her to finish. But she never gave up. She would get an old typewriter, and she'd type her biblical messages to all of us. Sometimes they weren't happy ones. She'd scold us using scripture. But what my mother did share was the oral tradition that tell your story. Even if you can't write it, if you can't read it, you can speak it. So speak it.
Yes.
And so, you know, from a woman who went to the 3rd grade, she passed that on to me. And she raised 6 children with 4 baby daddies. And she said, with a little crumb, a little bit of money, you can feed a family. Therefore, you could feed a village, right? Because she would take a pot of pinto beans and some cornbread, or some black-eyed peas and some cornbread and some greens.
Yes.
She'd make some chicken and dumplings, tea cakes for the community, popcorn balls at Halloween. My mother was poor and on welfare. I'm the first of her generation of 6 children to ever get a degree. I got my associates, my bachelor's, and my master's in education. But you know what? I stood on that stage to get those degrees, and I honored first and foremost the Most High. And my mother, who wasn't given the opportunity, she was a sharecropping child. Her daddy said, your value is to get out there and work this land. And let me get you a husband at 16. So she had a lot of pain. She lost her mother at 8 years old. And she had to become the matriarch of a family with a stepmother. So though she was not well educated when I got that degree, I said, thank you, Mom. thank you for presenting an energy and a spirit that said, keep walking.
Yes.
Keep stepping, put one foot before the other, and just don't give up.
Yes.
Yes.
So that's where I drew a lot of my strength. And even as she was dying at 94, and I heard her moaning in pain, even that she did gracefully. We didn't always get along. We bumped some heads, my mom and I. But I will always give honor to her and to the people that came before her, because without them and without the Most High strength, the platform to which I stand, I have nothing to stand on and represent and stand for.
Yeah, great. I give honor to the Most High God, who's the head of my life. And I had a mom and a dad. I learned from both of them. And I had my grandparents. Both grandmothers I was able to know well into my adult years. All of them inspirational. I come from a family of not a lot of chaos, and treat people as you'd like to be treated, just loving, kindness, the whole family. And I guess I kind of derived that from all of them, because everyone says I'm too nice. But so honor to God and to both grandmothers, and to my mother, whom I still have. And she is a beautiful person, and she's the one that taught me how to play. So how to play the piano and then the organ. Yes.
So me as well, I want to first give honor to God. And so my grandma was the one who molded me into the person who I am, and treated everybody like she was the nicest person ever. Like, she was lovable. She was like the big mama. Like, we all go over the summers, all the cousins were there. She'd make one potato, 10 people would eat. I don't know how she did it, but she did it, you know. I come from a family of, my mother's side, we're all addicted to drugs. So I never got that from my mom or my aunts. So my thing with them was I never wanted to be like them. That's why I worked so hard like I work now. I was selling tortillas at 5 years old trying to make some money. So, but mine is my grandma. My grandma was just literally the most amazing person I've ever met in my life. I wish she could see me now, but I know she's in heaven, you know, smiling down and super proud. But yeah, that's who I got mine from.
Thank you all for your sharing. We're going to go ahead and have some audience questions. And if anyone has burning desire questions, then you can just shout it out and we'll be able to answer. If you have someone specifically that you would like to direct that question to and you forgot their name, you can be like, Lady in the Blue. So we'd love to hear from you. See, I'm like this. Yes.
Okay.
Miss Margarita.
So all of you are business owners today. I wonder, what do you wish you knew then that you know now?
I can answer that right away. I wish that I had known some people that could have mentored me. I really wish I had known some people that could have done that. Because starting off as the first vegetarian in my family, the first to get a college degree, the first to decide to not only educate, be a librarian, and perform. When I started performing, I didn't know who to go to ask, what do I charge? And not everybody is going to share that with you. Like fellows or other storytellers or performers, they might not tell you, for a gig I get $2,000 when I do this, or I calculate it this way. I look at mileage, I look at the hotel I have to stay in, or all these factors, or if you are investing in all these puppets, like I said, I have over 50 puppets. You know, if you're investing in wardrobe, I have 10 wardrobes if I have 2 for various things. But a mentor, someone who had come before me that would say, Brenda Marley, and it could be a manager or an agent maybe, but I didn't even know about that. I've been my own agent. I've been my own manager. I've been my own researcher. So I do the research for the characters, research for what I want to do with my puppets, therapy, whatever. And so if there had been someone to say, you matter, I think you have some talent, and you know what? I'm going to take you under my wing, and I'm going to show you some ropes. I think whatever I've accomplished, I'm grateful for, but I probably could have accomplished more. I probably would have more money in my bank account, you know, things like that. But sometimes we don't see, or people are so busy looking at those that they feel are the automatic winners, that there are those people that get lost in the cracks. So a mentor. I wish I'd known when I started 30 years ago that I needed to seek a mentor or find a way or a business or an industry like maybe WESST.
Yes.
To say,
Now you're sitting in WESST. You're in the studio.
there's some classes you could take to teach you how to do your books, to teach you how to charge people, to teach you how to communicate with people on this level or that or the other. Now we can go to WEST and get COVID protocol training, etc. So that's what I wish I had had. But I didn't. I walked a lonely, dusty trail. But like the color purple, as still standing as these women are.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Did we have any other questions? Anyone online that has any comments, questions? Great. They are enjoying. They are loving hanging out. Absolutely.
I just want to thank everybody for telling you guys a story and stuff like that. It's really inspirational for me because I do feel alone. I just opened up a business in federal government contract.
Wait. We need to give you a round of applause, honey. You are doing it. Yes.
Thank you. And you know, I'm a mother first, so throughout the day, that's what I do. If I have time, you know, I'm working on my company. So some days I'm up till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and then up, you know, get my kids ready for school the next day, and it's really exhausting. And I do feel lonely. I don't, you know, a lot of mentors, they're out there, but they're charging thousands of dollars for their courses, and you know, so right now I'm trying to figure out like a payroll, someone to put on my payroll, like a payroll specialist, and I'm looking for like subcontractors and stuff like that I can have to do the work, you know, in administration, environmental, construction and stuff. But just coming here, you know, I wasn't sure that I was going to come because I'm really enclosed. I don't come from a big family. It's just me and my kids and my partner, and I really appreciate being here. You know, it really means a lot to me. So, thank you.
I just want to say something on that. So your net worth is your network. You have to start networking, and it's hard because I'm the same way. I'm not that girl that's like I'm not that girl. Everybody says I have a resting bee face, like I'm that, you know, because I'm tunnel vision. But you really, like, these type of events and getting out and networking is the best thing that you can do, because I know somebody in the room right now that you could link up with to help you take your business to the next level. So it's really all about networking.
And this is my first time like being out. I've done events and stuff online, but this is my first time really like being anywhere.
Yeah.
In a really long time, since like 2018, since I last worked and stuff. I worked at a school, and ever since then I stopped working there, and I just kind of been developing my business and just trying to do, you know, something big for my family, because I don't really, you know, it's just, like I said, it's just me and my 3 kids, and, you know, my parents are still pretty much struggling. They don't have, like, savings, so I'm helping them here and there with their bills, and I really don't want to be like that. You know, I want the next year to be really prosperous and successful for me, so anything that I can, you know, get from any one of you guys, I really would appreciate it, like, you know, business cards or anything, just so I can, you know, contact you guys. I would really appreciate it.
Okay.
Let me see if I can frame this. Playing on loneliness, I think this space is so important because I don't see business owners that look like me. I'm not a business owner yet, but I feel like you ladies all inspire me, right? I'm like, okay, so get on the right track. But speaking to when you're feeling alone and you feel like you don't have mentorship, or what do you do? because these spaces are so special, and sometimes we look for those spaces and we don't get what we expected in them. So when you do get knocked down and you're not feeling supported and you're not finding what you went to look for, and I know we talked a little bit about purpose and like holding on to the why, but if you all have any suggestions or challenges that you can share about how you kind of have to overcome and persevere that. If that come out right?
Yeah.
That came out right.
Yeah, it did.
I'm gonna jump out there and ask a time check because I'm blinded.
1:59.
1:59. We're on the 1 minute countdown. But the party doesn't end here because guess what? We get to go have a nice Ethiopian lunch. So for those of you who didn't come down here live and in person and everything, y'all will hear about it later. And this is from Clay Potts. Sabele is amazing. She's a new member of our business community, and we'll have a storefront coming to you soon. So you can order things from her if you're out there in the virtual world. But we're going to have real physical, filling our belly, and I'm talking too long just to wrap up. And this conversation certainly does not end here. You can reach out. My email's available, and I'll just give it in Pickett at WESST.org. We are WESST. We are the Women's Business Center here in Albuquerque, 30 years and plus counting. And, can support you with training, can support you with consulting, lending source, all of those types of things so, that you can start or expand and grow your beautiful business. To close this out, I'm just going to ask if two people could take this question. But as a Women's Business Center, and we've got offices throughout the state of New Mexico, what do you all need from us? What have you seen that you're like, I am in this 40,000 square foot building, and this is where we really need the future of women in business and centers such as this to help take us and guide us and support us?
The information to know that you exist.
Yeah, exactly.
That is what I believe needs to get out there even further.
Okay.
And for me, I know you all aren't doing this program anymore, Marketplace, but giving us the tools, the guidance, so that we don't have to go through all the obstacles on our own. We can be supported. And you all are mentorship, and we will do lunch together, so you'll get an answer.
Yeah, let's connect. And I just wanted to say really quickly that this lady, Neema, is a wealth of resource, connected. And she and Margarita back here do a podcast. And so if you want to get on that and talk about your business or whatever, they can hook you up with that so that you can do that and share what you have to offer so more people can become aware of you. And I think all of us would agree that we want to be connected with you. So let's find ways to do that.
With all of you that are looking.
All of you.
We're like this, sorry. We're not used to a real studio. It's so cool up in here. So, anyone watching, come down, learn about the studio, how you can broadcast your business and all of those things. So I am graciously going to say, please launch the poll. Thank you. The poll online for those who need to take it. And here, make sure that you grab the survey. We need that for our own record keeping and whatnot around here so we can do these lovely programs for all of you. It has been a blessing. This has been marvelous. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Neema.
We're just gonna play really quickly a few shots of Miss Shantez and celebrate what she has cultivated in the community and business, and then join us down the hall. We'll be having some lunch. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're gonna dance our way out too, because she would have had us dance. Sound man, can we get some music while we get up out of this place? It's coming. Oh, these are some of her beautiful art pieces that she did. And we'd see those at Juneteenth at her
I got
pop-up
some of her
markets.
stuff
You probably
before.
have something.
I do. They're on my fridge in my office.
Okay, now she could throw it down on security, and also could do it with an attitude in a goddess outfit. Only person I've ever seen that.
Wore
Do
that
that.
silver suit to her her night party.
Oh.
That's beautiful.
Her mom gave it to me.
Oh.
Yeah.
My
yeah.
mom goes,